it going, everyone? Welcome to Conversations with a Cinephile. I'm your host, Siddu Nevanitha. I'm joined here today by my friend Talal Al-Dabayan. How are you doing, Talal?
Not bad. What about you?
Doing pretty good. For all of you first-time listeners out there, if you're not used to podcasts, I strongly recommend switching the speed up to 1.25 or maybe 1.5 speed, because I tend to talk slow and wouldn't want to drag on or bore you guys. You know, it would be a poor way to start this thing off. All right, Talal, first things first, we were talking about Joker last time.
We were, yep.
Joker has won some awards, it seems, at the Toronto International Film Festival, and also at the Venice Film Festival, where it took home the Best Film Award, the Golden Lion, as they say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a big step for the movie, too, and by the time the Oscars roll around and the audience gets to see it, I think that thing is just going to skyrocket.
Yeah, because honestly, if you look at the past winners of the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, they actually have gone on to win Oscars, been nominated for Best Picture, and tons of other awards at the Oscars. So I think if we look to history, we can see that this is a good thing. This will probably mean that the movie is Oscar caliber, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And even like I said before in the last podcast, by looking at the trailers, you can already see the amount of time and effort and passion that the actors put into this movie, especially Joaquin. You know, there was an interview with Christian Bale, and then he said that it's really brave and a big step for him to like step up as the new Joker after Heath Ledger. And I also find it funny that he just completely sidelined Jared Leto as the Joker. He just kind of
I
hit
guess
the skip
7
button on
minutes
him.
of screen time doesn't get you much, especially if you
No,
send
not at all.
dead rats
Not
and
at all.
condoms to your co-stars. It's not a good
Exactly.
not a good look.
I hated that. So, but yeah, no, I'm really excited to see the movie. That's the first thing I'm seeing when it hits on theaters, and yeah, I'm just who knows what it's gonna bring to us, you know?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. And Joaquin actually won the best a tribute actor award at the Toronto International Film Festival just a couple
There you
days
go.
ago.
Yeah.
For this,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's been nominated for an Oscar like 3 times, maybe twice for Best Actor, once for Best Supporting Actor. So maybe this is the time he actually wins an award.
For real. Yeah.
If you look
And also
at
said there was an interview that they made with him, and he said at one point like he was almost actually going crazy from how much weight he had to lose and for preparing for this movie, and I'm just like, dang, he's fitting right into the role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember watching interviews too, how he talked about the weight loss and how the weight loss actually affected his psychological nature for the movie, and yeah, I kind of added to his performance. If you look, the last 2 years, Roma and The Shape of Water, which actually won Best Picture, they both won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. So I
Right.
think if we follow history, this one will probably at least get nominated for a Best Picture.
Oh no, 100%, it's gonna get nominated.
Award.
Oh yeah, because I was reading
Mm-hmm.
at one of the showings, there was an 8-minute standing ovation after the movie ended.
Yeah.
And these are critics we're talking about. These are not just regular audience. So like critics, their job is to go in and look for mistakes in a movie. And for a standing ovation to happen, that is the first time I actually read about.
Yeah, honestly,
during
I
our
hold a
time
lot more
period,
weight
you know?
to that than when I heard that Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood received a 9-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. So
Man,
I watched that
yeah.
movie, and I did not feel as though that movie deserved any sort of standing ovation, let alone one for 9 minutes straight. I think a lot of those people just kind of wanted to applaud Quentin Tarantino because it was Quentin Tarantino
Right.
rather than applaud the
Yeah.
movie that he made. Which
So
I
do you
guess
think, and like,
Todd
of course, we
Phillips
haven't
doesn't
seen the
have that
movie yet. Do
problem
you
because
think it
they
deserves?
just think he's the Hangover director, so they don't really care as much.
Right. Do you think this movie deserves a standing ovation? Because you just said that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that it had also a nomination. You said it didn't deserve it as much. Do you
Yeah,
think
I
this
mean,
movie deserves it?
I was honestly back when I hadn't seen neither of those movies, I was more hyped to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or you could say I was pretty much equally hyped to see this one and uh, Joker and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But after seeing that, it just kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth. It was not a bad movie by any means. It was a really well made movie, but it was almost like a really well made pointless movie.
Right.
If I
Yeah.
may,
No, I
like you
see what
can
you're
watch
saying there.
it and it's a good time and there's nothing really bad about it. It's just kind of pointless and you just don't I don't see myself ever revisiting that movie for any reason.
Yeah. I see what you're saying there for sure.
And honestly, that can be said about another movie that I was really anticipating that I saw last week called It Chapter 2. And
Yep.
it pains me to say that because I was really looking forward to that one.
So were a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's honestly kind of a shame, but it's just like the movie does 3 hours
It's disappointing because
and it
trailer
feels like 3 hours.
are overdrawn.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was saying like how trailers and overemphasize the movie. So if you do that too much, all you're gonna end up doing is just hyping up your audience,
Mm-hmm.
like more than necessary, leaving them disappointed instead of satisfied with the movie.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, so I don't know. It Chapter 2, it the weird thing was up until like last night when I checked the runtime for both movies again, I thought for the longest time that the first It was only like an hour and 40 minutes long. But then I looked it up last night and I saw that it was 2.5 hours long. And I was just surprised because it never felt like it was a 2.5 hour movie, in my opinion.
Right.
Like maybe like an hour 40, maybe like 2 hours, but it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it went so fast. And then in comparison, chapter two, it just dragged. Like the beginning was great, and the climax was also a little bit drawn out, but man, the entire middle sequence was just boring, just completely boring. But it
Yeah.
had some good scares in there too, which made me even more sad as to how boring it really was. Because like you have all this good horror, like why don't you just keep it fast paced and keep us on the edge of our
Right.
seat?
That's the point of a good horror movie. It
Right.
keeps you on edge the whole movie.
Yeah, it should do it, but it kind of uh, when you look at these kids, when you look at these guys as adults, and then it'll like immediately cut back to them as a child, and then you have this really horrible, scary, terrible sequence happen to them. You just saw them as an adult. You know they survive whatever they go through, right? Like 2 minutes before you just saw them as a kid. So whatever
Yeah.
they might be getting into, you know they survive. So it's just like, okay, all right, I know you survive. You somehow get out of this little predicament, no matter how
Yeah.
scary or creepy it
It
is.
takes out that certain
Definitely
surprise
takes you out
element.
of it.
Yeah. I feel you
Yeah.
there.
So it was problems like that, and also there was a little bit of them throwing humor into like everything, and I kind of
Right.
just got how it was like the first it was really scary, but it was also really funny. And this one was pretty much the same, and I liked how they played up similar things to what happened to them as kids in this one, except now they're all adults. But as in,
Yeah.
like, they've grown and they should do different things than they were kids. Like, if they're kids, it's like, okay, you made a stupid decision. But now if you're an adult and you make the same stupid decision, it gives you pause. So you're just like, did you just not grow at all? Did you
Yeah, it
not
does.
change at all? Like,
Yeah.
it's been 27 years, you know? And
Right. Yeah.
some of those things just take you out and it's like, makes you just sit back and sigh in disappointment. But yeah, that's
It
enough.
does.
That's enough
It does.
about disappointing things. Let's talk about the news. Um, let's talk
Well,
about social media.
unfortunately, there's more disappointing things. Social media, it's just the biggest sea ever, you know. It's just a vast ocean, and
Hmm.
there's good, there's bad, but you know, it's good that social media is a place where you can like really connect with people, but
Yeah,
at the same time, it's like the heart of cyberbullying, as they say, and I don't know. I feel like it all depends on you. You know, you can take the best out of social media. You can also take the worst.
yeah. I mean, that
And
can be said
but
about
some
like
people
so many
unintentionally take the
things.
worst
Like
out
you
of
can
it.
say that about guns too. Like it is just a tool, you know, and it depends on how
Exactly,
people use it
exactly.
and how
But
people are
like, here's the
affected by
thing.
it.
Exactly, exactly. And like, look, here's the thing. You know, in social media, you go around and there is literally unlimited people to like follow, people to see what they're up to and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But the thing is, people these days, I noticed that they like aren't, I don't want to say like getting offended, but they're just like uncomfortable with what they're seeing. But
yeah,
what I question about that is like, you click that follow button. I want to see your
sure.
life. I want to see what you're doing, and I want to know what you're up to. But then you get offended, and then you come at me because of what you saw. To me, that makes no sense. You know,
I
I feel
mean,
like if you
honestly,
don't want to
Talal,
see what I'm doing, you click the unfollow.
yeah, there's that. Like you are capable of being your own person, and
Right.
also like try this on for size, okay? This is for whoever is out there who could get offended at a moment's notice.
Yep.
You have a choice whether or not to get offended. It is not just a end all be all. I have to get offended or nothing. You can choose not to. It's a
Exactly.
choice.
Exactly. And
You
that's
are
the
an
thing.
active
Yeah. You
person. Do
can't
not
like
be
just
passive in your life. Uh, it will not
exactly.
help. And yeah, outrage culture,
It really
it's
won't.
definitely a thing because people like now we feel very we're honestly living in like the best time, but also we're living in the worst time because it's also the best time. Because we feel like everything has
Exactly.
to be
Yeah.
tailored to us and we feel like we are entitled to so many things. And when that doesn't happen, it just kind of I mean, it makes us angry and we get outraged, right? And the fact that we
Exactly. Yeah.
have the ability to be anonymous like that, it allows us to be outraged and it allows us to, I guess, exploit the privilege of freedom of speech. And
Right. Yeah. And people abuse that,
yeah,
not power, but abuse that right.
yeah, it's a privilege because
Exactly. Exactly.
it would be like a right if everybody had that right, but not everybody has that right. So
Yeah.
until that's the case, it's a privilege for us. So
Exactly.
if it's just people just need to take a chill pill. That should be the
No,
moral
a
of the
lot of people
story.
really do. And like what's
And
worse about
also,
it is
like,
that
I
I've
mean,
noticed so
hey,
many
if
people
you
are
don't take a
focusing on
chill
like the wrong
pill,
thing.
like, long term, that's like high blood pressure, and that's bad for you and your body.
Yeah.
So, save yourself and save us
So okay,
your
for
breath.
example, like let's say I'm doing something that you don't like to see. You're gonna get livid and lit off of that. I'm just gonna be chilling, living my life, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna put my phone down, worrying about absolutely nothing, while you're still there thinking and just ranting on social media about it. And in the end, nobody's gonna get hurt
Hmm.
except you. because you're the one that this, like I said again, you're the one who chose to follow that person and see what they're doing, and you chose not to unfollow them. So what you're doing is just like you're putting yourself in this black hole where only you can get yourself out of it.
Sure, yeah. I
To
mean,
me,
you
that
got
makes no
yourself
sense,
into
you
that
know?
situation, so you can choose to get yourself out of it instead of being stuck in it.
Exactly. And, you know, us as a society, I'm not talking about anybody specifically, us as a society, we're focusing on things that literally deserves not even 0.5% of the attention we're giving them. You
I
know,
mean,
you see
yeah,
all these
we
articles
see, we
and
could talk
snaps about
about
these,
the Amazon
who went out with
rainforest.
who, and
We could
yeah,
talk about
exactly.
Juuls and e-cigarettes. You know, we could talk
Yep.
about the entire uh, the way the news is
That's the
structured
thing,
and
yeah.
how
Because there
things
are
just
things out
move
there
on
that are
from one
affecting people every day,
pressing
but we choose
topic
to
to
focus on
another,
like
and how
celebrities.
how our attention span is like that of a goldfish, and we just stay
Yeah,
focused on one thing. Like, sure, climate change comes back in and out, right?
right.
But like, I mean, it's always something that's there, and
Yeah,
you know, it it's it's messy.
it really is. It really is. And you know, the thing we do too much is because social media got so big so fast and all this information is getting exchanged, like I can know what's happening on the other side of the world almost instantly. And it just tends to like make us, desensitized to it,
See,
because the more you
the
know about the
thing
world,
that's
the more
weird
you know
about
about
it
its
is
issues.
because you can know so much, because you can, like you choose not to, and it's easier
Right.
for you to not to do that
And that's the
than
thing, yeah.
try
Like,
to do that, you know?
like let's just say I know so many problems that's going on, and because I know so many things, I can't divert my attention to one thing. So, for example, let's just say a shooting happens somewhere, at the end of the day, millions and millions of people, all they're gonna do is just slap a hashtag on their feed or on their Twitter or whatever it is, and just move on with their day. While let's just say 50 years ago, that same energy and that same attention would be on a completely different wavelength. People would actually like go and try to do something, since all this social media is not even available.
Yeah,
So like if you know about it, you
just be
tend to
like
like go
hashtag
and
Black Lives
assess
Matter and then move on.
exactly and just
I
move
don't
on
know
with
how
your
many of
day
those
while that
people
changes
actually did
absolutely
something.
nothing. Yeah, that changes
But also,
absolutely
like,
nothing.
in having said that, I know that I am a hypocrite because I am doing. I also I don't subscribe to hashtags. I haven't used a hashtag in forever, and I definitely
Right.
don't use those hashtags. Um, but also I know I'm just like a part of the problem. I'm not doing anything to solve it actively.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's that because you can't focus on everything all at once. But there are people out there that they just constantly, remember the shootings that happened in France, or like I'm sorry, the explosions that happened in France. I think it was like what 3, 4 years. It was a number of
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago, and
Everybody, even
everybody had the France
I put the
flag on.
France flag filter. Yes, I
Yeah,
did that.
exactly, and a lot of people I know did that, but I'm just like, okay, like it's good that you care, but you did absolutely nothing about it. While you could do something about it, there's always something you can do. I'm not saying you go out there,
Hmm.
travel there, and start like protesting about it. No, like there's something you can do other
Yeah,
than just
literally the only
say like,
littlest
oh, thoughts
thing
and
that I
prayers, and
ever
that's it.
did was spread just a little bit more awareness that hey, something might have happened in France. If somebody like was
Yeah,
completely oblivious, it was like everybody has a France flag filter on their profile
exactly,
pictures.
and
What could this mean? I'm gonna look up France right now. Yeah.
right. But I don't know, and the thing is, like, when every time I see, oh, thoughts and praises,
Oh, yeah. I remember when
nothing,
that
right?
came
Like
out a couple years ago, I got
percent,
into a very heated Twitter
yeah,
argument with a very devout Christian man about thoughts and prayers and the existence of God.
yeah. Well, see, like it, those are like very sensitive topics, but like when you just put, oh, thoughts and prayers to this, and then you just kind of just move on and you do absolutely nothing about it. I mean, what I'm saying is that everybody could at least look into the problem. And I feel like there is an effect you can make some way or another instead of just typing a tweet and just and just moving on, because there's going to be millions of those by other people who do the exact same thing. So you're just pretty much a drop of water in the sea. You're not really going to do anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can honestly, a lot of people don't realize how much they can talk to their local mayor, their local senate, like governor, just sending
Exactly.
them an email, calling them.
Exactly.
Obviously, it'll take time
People
or
don't
whatever.
realize they
Like
have
you won't get
so
an
much
immediate
power in their
response or
hands.
something like that, right? But people
Exactly.
have the
Yeah, like
ability to do a lot of things.
exactly. People don't realize they have so much power in their hands, like more than we know, because for example, if things aren't going our way, if enough people get together, they have to change that because what politicians and what governments fear the most is that and once they see their own people like churning, not churning against them, but like they want change and they want change now, they will do it.
Yeah, I mean, you see that in
Because
the
without their people,
riots in
they're
Hong
absolutely
Kong. Have you
nothing.
heard about that?
Yep, I have. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like people are just they don't want any more of it. They're done feeling
exactly.
like they don't have any say.
Right, right.
And we're
And
over
one
here
thing that
like
has been spread
we
around
have
in
somewhat of a say. We can vote. Um, but people just choose not to because they can.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, one thing that has been spread around on social media a lot. I don't know if you saw it. Well, I bet you did. Are Jules and what is and the recent deaths that have been happening all over
Yeah.
the country.
Hmm.
And just in this state, just in like the state I'm in alone, people are just dropping left and right from it. And I don't know. I feel like there's not much to talk about because it's just the same enemy with a different face. The
Yeah.
same conversations have been going on about cigarettes and e-cigarettes and vaping and all that, but I feel like it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Sure,
No, I don't.
vaping is not like as concentrated and harmful as cigarettes, but
Definitely
in
is
the end,
not.
it
Yeah.
will cause problems in your lungs, and
I
it
mean,
will
yeah.
cause
It
because
it's
people die
clearly
from
shown
that.
that because up until this point, people like it's been. I mean, it's been a given. Like people have just taken it for granted that hey, you're not breathing in cigarette smoke, so it's okay. Um,
Exactly. Well, it's
and
really
then
not.
now people are actually dying, so maybe it is not okay. So
It isn't,
honestly, I
yeah, and
what
the
what
thing,
I
and
really think about this
hopefully,
issue
because like
is this is more of a case to legalize marijuana because a lot of these people who have been hospitalized, it has been due to them purchasing THC vape juice or THC I don't know THC from drug dealers who obviously are not regulated at all. So
and see, like that's the thing.
if you came up with a
Yeah,
system
and
with just legalizing it and then have the FDA and government regulate this, then people can get what they want because there's clearly a demand for it, but there's no legal supply,
exactly.
which is why they're having to go to the black market for it. And that's where it's not regulated, so people are dying.
And at this point, it's the only solution because, if you try to take it
I mean, a
away,
lot of states have already
just like what's
legalized.
happening right now, people are going
Like,
to get it
government will make a
illegally.
lot of tax revenue on this. Like, a
Yeah,
lot more than they think they will. Because there's a
right.
certain, like, percentage of the demographic that just will not try uh, THC products simply because they are illegal.
Yeah,
Right, like, curiosity and everything aside. So there's that,
I know,
and then
I know,
there's
I know what you're
also
talking about. I
people.
see your point.
Yeah, so there's like people
I
who
I see your
will
point there.
do it
Yeah,
whatever, and then there's people who would do it if it was legal. So the people who would do it regardless, that's already your market, your base, your demand, and then your demand will only go up from there through word of mouth,
that's
and
exactly.
they'll see how this is regulated and how much safer it is. I mean, it can
Yeah,
only
and
benefit.
that's the only solution. And at the same time, you're kind of just setting all these drug dealers aside because when you regulate at a certain price, because of course drug dealers are going to make tons and tons of profit, And while the government, they're gonna make profit, yes, and tax revenue, but they're not like that's not their only motive.
Yeah, see,
So
like
the
the
prices
drug
are going
dealers,
to be
they're make
cheaper. So
whatever
you're
they're
hitting two birds
making
in one
is
stone.
not taxable income, right? It's all under the table.
Right.
So the government gets no
Right.
piece in that. Why doesn't the government just
Exactly.
like become the middleman and now
Right.
they have to now they get the tax revenue.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I see exactly what you're talking about. And that's the thing. Hopefully, like with what we talked about like social media and how fast it's spreading, people can open their eyes quick because, time is running out for those who use it. And that's like scary to say, but it's true. People are going
Hmm.
to comas. People are actually dying. I read
Yeah.
about a couple of people who actually had seizures because of it. And I didn't read the science behind it, but from what I read, it's a scary thing that's spreading fast. And people who used it long term, and by long term I mean like wait a year, maybe 2 years, and for
Yeah.
some it might be months. It just depending on who you are. And
Yeah.
the problem is, when I even looked into it even more, I see people like joking around about it, and I don't know. I feel like that's not the right reaction you need because people are literally dying from this, and people who use it, they're kind of brushing it off and moving on with their lives. And I don't know. It's just a bunch of mixed reactions, and I just hope that those people would open their eyes and see what possibly would happen to them in like
Hmm.
a most likely case.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, joking about anything like meh, it's a joke, but yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Um, whatchamacallit, social media. Yes. Uh, if any of you listeners want another podcast recommendation about social media, Vox, if you're familiar with the channel Vox has a podcast called Today Explained. And 2 days ago, they had an episode about Facebook and Instagram and how they are doing studies to do away with the entire like system about thumbs ups
right.
and hearts and everything. The
Yeah,
episode's called Like By, and it's 25 minutes, and I highly recommend you check that out. It's really interesting. Uh, they go over studies that Facebook has done in certain countries where they completely took away likes and they completely took away hearts and everything from Instagram, and they saw some pretty big changes. So it almost became like there was less pressure to the entire social media,
right. Yeah,
and people just were just a lot more free and open about it, and they didn't become as, I guess, like obsessed and like attention drawn, like being addicted to attention and wanting it.
yeah,
as
and
it like becomes a drive, like whenever we post something, we're always curious to see like how many likes did it get or like
yeah. How am I
anything.
doing? Are
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
liking it? People not liking
How
it?
much do
But when
people
you don't
like
have,
me?
yeah, when you don't have that aspect,
Yeah,
just
and like
like let
honestly,
your
when
mind to
it
rest. You don't have to worry about who's liking it.
yeah, like so whenever you create a post or create a podcast or create a YouTube video or anything, I watched another video by Matt Diavella, and it was titled "How to Not Give a Fuck," So
Yeah,
basically, he talked about how likes, subscribers, views, you know, upvotes, how all of that affects your motivations and your desire. Like if your motivation is to get that attention, it's more of a corrupt motivation, and it
exactly.
hinders
Yeah, I
your
agree
ability to
100%.
create, from like a good place, and you
Yeah,
kind of like see. And the weird thing about it is, even if you realize that, it doesn't mean you weren't doing that at any point in your past, and like it doesn't change that like a lot of your past has been around doing things like that. It's just now that now you realize that you've been doing that kind of a thing. So it's kind of weird to
exactly.
think
And this
about
this
how
doesn't
this has
even apply
shaped
to like
your thinking.
Right. And this doesn't even apply to like social media. Just you can even take this to sports. You see players out there.
Yeah.
The greatest players out there in the game, any game. You pick whatever sport you want. Those who became the best came from like, poverty-stricken areas and they had a passion for it. They didn't go in it for the money. Sure, there are good players out there, but
Yeah.
the players who went in it just for the money, they don't have that extra flame in their soul to just excel and exceed because only passion can do that, not the passion for money. It's only the passion for the sport itself that will make you like truly one of the greats, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yep. Okay, so social media. It's a very, very icky topic.
It
If
is.
if
It
we have
really is.
depressed you listeners, my sincerest apologies. Try living in the real world. Uh, um, what else should we talk about? Let's talk about Apple TV Plus.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you're unaware, Apple just came out with their iPhone 11s now. Apparently, iPhone 11 is going the way of the MacBooks, and they're adding a Pro. So it's iPhone 11 Pro, and then there's an iPhone 11 or something like that. The thing about the
Yep.
iPhone
And
11 Pro is
for
it
those of
has
you who
three
don't
cameras.
know what has changed, let your mind to rest. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing. There's only a better camera, and that's literally about it.
Yeah, they basically
Absolutely nothing
changed the
has
camera.
changed.
They gave it three
Yep.
cameras for the Pro, and then I don't think the 11 like changes all that much
No.
really.
No, at all. It's literally nothing. Even themselves, they were like, "Oh, it's the same innovative glass, and it's the same to something this." And I'm like,
Same
"Okay, you're
glass.
you're really trying to sugarcoat this right now, and it's not really working out."
Yeah. Yeah, see, I think another one of the the selling points of all these new products is they're I honestly think that they don't really care about the products. They're just using it to ship their streaming service because with
Yeah.
all of these new products, you get a free year of Apple TV Plus.
Right. Yeah.
And then they're selling it at $5 a month, which I think Disney Plus is also doing. They're doing like $5.99 or $6 a month,
Yeah. I think it was
completely
6.99. I
undercutting
think.
Netflix and Amazon Prime. But we all
Right.
know they're gonna raise up the price in a year. Like
They will.
they're
Yeah,
not
because
gonna
this is
keep
just
it
the
low.
trial year. They're trying to attract as much customers, and once the
Yeah,
customers are locked
and
in
then
and they're
once they
used to
have
it,
you in the contract or the billing period, uh, they might even say you have to keep keep the membership for a year or something like that because
I
I
mean,
know
even if they don't do that, what they're trying to do is attract as much customers as
yeah
possible and get them used to it. So once they
hmm
raise the prices, the customer be like, "Oh well, I'm used to it already. Might as well," and they just follow along with their prices. So it's all just part of this, like, I don't want to say big plan, but it's
I
what they
mean
do, I guess.
they want they're a company they want to make the most money
Yeah.
so
But here's the thing: when you're a $1 trillion, literally $1 trillion company, I feel like you would, the whole point of Apple. When you think of Apple, you know, you look from like you look. Remember the iPhone came out, the iPhone
yeah
4. That was the big thing. They moved on to iPhone 5. That was revolutionary again. Then the iPhone 6, and it just kept getting more and more. And I feel like it kind of stopped at the 6 because the 6, 7, and 8 was the exact same thing.
oh
And then
yeah
there was
no
a
they're
change
very
between the 8 and
similar.
the 10. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then the
they all
8 and 10,
plateau
okay, fine,
because
it's
like
different. But
when they first came out, it was like, hey, here's an iPod that's a phone that you can like have a compass on and like read books on, and it was like this
yeah,
big thing because like touchscreen was only like then becoming a thing. And now like we're
yeah,
seeing like the plateau and like what do we see?
exactly.
Like now your like phones can play like really cool games, but also it has a third camera because we don't know what else to give it to make it different.
That's the thing. Yeah. And the only, what, revolutionary innovation, as they claim, the only thing is, it's only if you get the 11 Pro is that they will throw in extra battery life in there. And that's literally about it. And other than
But
that, it's
also,
the
you're only
exact same
getting
phone.
1 hour more of battery life from the Pro to the 11 regular.
Right.
So it's like, okay. And also, like, a lot of our battery life goes bad after like 6 months, anyways. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, how true are those battery life measures? I think a lot of them are relatively arbitrary.
Well, in my experience, they are very true. Well, if you're talking about in terms of like battery life decreasing over years, that's very true. And plus,
Yeah,
the older model you have, the more at risk you are right now, because once they release that new software update, you know your battery is going to get absolutely clapped, and
yeah.
you're just going to have to carry around an external battery just everywhere you go.
I mean, that's what I did for the past, like, I want to say year and a half.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm doing it too. It's that bad. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just got this Pixel 3A like 3 months ago. Not 3 months
right,
ago, like 2 months ago. And
yeah,
it's been pretty good. Like, I mean, it's a very new phone right now, so battery life hasn't gotten bad or anything. But it
yeah.
will, with time.
But I mean, there you go. See, you said you got the Google Pixel, right? Companies
Yeah,
like Google, companies like Samsung, companies like Huawei, they're all releasing all these revolutionary phones. Sure, Samsung, the price range is pretty up there with Apple, but companies like Huawei and even Nokia, they're kind of good phones. And then you got the Google Pixel, they're all pretty much cheap if you compare it to Apple. They're really cheap, but
yeah,
you're getting the same thing out of it,
yeah. I mean, the
Because
the
I feel
reason
like
I
at this
like
point,
the
Apple, they're
Google
such a big
Pixel,
company, they have so much to lean.
yeah, yeah. Apple is like Disney. It's very brand focused. Um, and the reason I like the Pixel
Exactly.
is because it basically feels like an iPhone, except it's got all the features of Android. It looks like
Exactly.
the original
And
Pixel
plus, the
and
camera
this
is
one
pretty much
looks very
supreme. It's on
similar
par with
to the
Apple.
iPhone 7, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I my main focus about smartphone is, I guess, the software and the camera. That's
Yeah.
basically it. And the Pixel 3a, like when it came out, this and the Pixel 3 were the best smartphone cameras on the market. Now it's the iPhone 11s. I don't know, it's still a really good
Yep.
camera. It doesn't take any worse photos. So I'm content with the phone.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, you know, if you know, phones, they have such good cameras on them, but you can barely notice the difference if you're comparing. For example, you take the Google Pixel, you have the 3A, right? And
Yeah.
you take an iPhone 11, you're barely gonna notice a difference.
Oh
But
yeah,
even
no.
the only difference you'd know is if you're a professional photographer. But I feel like at that point you would already have a separate camera just for photography.
Yeah,
People
no.
like,
Like for the
there's
for
just
the
mainstream
normal
people looking for a
normal
good camera.
consumer market, consumer base, I really don't think it's that much of a thing. Although I do
Yeah,
really like
exactly. I mean,
portrait
now
mode. Portrait mode
people are
is
more
really
attracted to
great.
the screen ratio.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
This is a bigger phone than the Pixel. It's actually kind of weird because the regular Pixel like fits inside of this phone. Like if you lay it on it, like
yeah,
it will just completely cover the entire phone. Um, but
right.
now this is like what feels natural to me. When like a few months ago, that was what felt natural to me. It's crazy how fast you get used to them.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is, I guess, like a 5 or 6 minute warning here. We're reaching near the end of time. Uh,
yep.
what would we next week? We have Rambo: Last Blood coming out, the Downton Abbey movie, and Brad Pitt's Ad Astra. I'm definitely looking forward to going to see that. Um,
Yeah, I heard of all of those.
yeah, and then what are you looking forward to? I guess other than Joker and stuff we've already
I mean,
mentioned.
yeah, that is a big thing I'm looking forward to. But also, yeah, Rambo I feel like it would be. I don't want. It's like a nice return for Sylvester Stallone, because the recent movies he's been in, most known for like recent years, is
Yeah, he was like
Creed,
Creed, you
Creed
know?
One and Creed Two.
Creed was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you kind of see him back why he became famous. The movie that I want to see the movie that started
Yeah.
it all, but one of the most iconic movies of him.
hmm
So it's
I
kind
think
of
I've
like a
seen the
nice nostalgic
first
feeling when you see the
First
movie.
Blood. Yeah. Now this is like Rambo
Right,
Last
yeah.
Blood, so seems interesting.
Yeah. So it's almost as if you're seeing a before and after thing, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's also very
It's
similar to like
honestly, I'm looking forward to it.
Terminator,
Yeah.
how they're bringing that
Exactly.
back again this year, and
Exactly.
bringing Arnold back for like the fifth time.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's gonna be like a record-breaking movie, but it's still gonna be like an enjoyable thing to watch, you know?
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like a good fun time because I think
Yeah.
the director directed Deadpool, and Deadpool was a really fun time. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that the Terminator will be fun as well.
Oh yeah.
Other movies I'm looking forward to are Gemini Man, the one where Will Smith
Oh yeah.
fights
Will
a
Smith.
younger
Yep.
version of himself. I mean, twice the Will Smith.
Yeah.
You're not going to complain, are you?
I mean, yeah, no, not at all. You know,
Yeah,
it's also just like a whole weird dilemma because from what I understood in the trailer, it's him fighting him, and you know,
yeah.
he gets to fight him in the past and just reflect on what he did and what happened to him, and he's
Hmm.
trying to stop the future, and he is the future, and it's this whole weird thing. So how they explain it in the movie, I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and I mean, he did the performances for both versions of himself, so that's got to be really interesting,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know. And
Exactly, yeah. It's going to be a crazy thing to see.
yeah, and then I guess the other one I'm really looking forward to is called Doctor Sleep. It's the long-awaited sequel to The Shining, which Shining is one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, okay.
So I can't wait
Yeah,
for this. Have you seen
I've
the
yet to see
trailer
the
for
trailer
that?
for that. No, I have
Okay.
not. I'm yet
It's
to see
I
it.
think a new trailer just came out a week or two ago. It might have been
Oh,
last
yeah?
week, so you should definitely check that out. It looks, if you've seen The Shining, it looks like this looks like a good sequel to The Shining. And also it's created by the same guy who did Haunting of Hill House, which is probably the best show on Netflix right now. So I
Yeah.
I have nothing but faith for Mike Flanagan and this movie that he's made.
Honestly, yeah. Best of luck to him. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right, so we have just about
Oh,
two
yeah.
minutes left. What do we want to wrap this up with?
Honestly, what I want to wrap up with, I just want to like reach out to the audience here. You guys feel free by any means to leave any comments, concerns, questions, subjects you want to talk about, anything at all. You can just like directly. Yeah, like we're doing this to make it as much as like as enjoyable as possible for both us and the audience because you guys are listening, of course. So whatever you
Yeah,
guys want us to talk about, whatever like things we can do to improve, by all means, just hit that up below and we'll get to it.
yeah, for sure. Um, just so you know, we are available on Spreaker, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and also on Castbox. If you use that, that's a pretty obscure podcast platform, but we're also on there. We're also on YouTube. If you could just go to
Yep,
the
yep.
Siddu's
So
Reading Room
we're
YouTube
just spreading our
channel,
wings as
it'll
much
be
as possible here.
yeah. So
Yeah,
we're on all the platforms as much as to get as much people listening as possible, and to make it more applicable and accessible to you guys. So on YouTube,
oh yeah,
leave comments. On any other platform you can leave comments, feel free to do so. As Talal said, we would be more than
yeah.
happy to respond and take your comments into consideration, crafting the new episodes.
Right on. Yeah, don't forget to share with your friends. You know, the more the better. And the
Yeah,
more
the
people
more,
that watch it, the more
of
we can
course.
improve because the more feedback we get.
Yes. Do not be afraid to take action and take an active role
At
in
all.
whatever you're
Yeah,
listening to. So anything you say, any sort of
exactly.
feedback will be appreciated. And
Much appreciated.
yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next recording.
All right. Till next time.
Peace.